Welcome to Leading Organizations That Matter, a podcast about leadership and how we find impact, meaning, and joy in our work. I'm your host, Ray Spadoni, and today's topic is there's change, and then there's change readiness. Earlier in my career, whenever I encountered an organization or situation within an organization where some type of significant change was required, I tended to think in terms of two dimensions. First, what change is needed? And then second, what will it take to create that change? Then, further along in my own professional development, wearing the badges and scars of experience, I realized that there's a vital third dimension, and that is how ready is the organization for that change? Change readiness. It's a thing, a really important thing, because if you misjudge an organization's change readiness, and that includes, the board of directors, the management team, staff, patients, if you're a healthcare organization, important external groups, payers and regulators and funders and referrers and so forth, then regardless of how much change is needed, and no matter how brilliant your plan actually is, you can fail. So, when leading an organization or advising one that is contemplating change of any major sort, I try to gauge their change readiness. Here are 4 key questions to ask and to ponder yourself. 1, what is the organization's prior experience of change? How long ago was that change and how did it go? What worked and what failed? 2, how often is change discussed in that organization's town square? Are there serious discussions at staff meetings, for example, about what's happening in the broader industry or in the local community? In essence, how isolated is that organization from whatever's happening out there in the real world? 3, what is the perceived urgency level? And then, what's the real urgency level? I talk about this in my book when I cite the importance of understanding the organization's runway length for change, as I describe it. If there's a gap between real and perceived urgency, then that organization is demonstrating low change readiness. And 4, what are the sacred cows when it comes to change? This one's harder to determine, and it will require some probing, some skillful probing into the darker recesses of that organization's culture, mission, and history, but it's vitally important to long-term success. I also discuss this in my book. An example of a sacred cow could be that a key founder of that organization and still active board member may have a, never over my dead body position when it comes to certain kinds of change. For example, in the organization's governance or their ownership or their brand, for example. It's critically important that change agents understand those sacred cows that could be lurking in those dark recesses. They are important. If you're responsible for leading or supporting organizational change, then you need to understand how ready that organization actually is for such change. If the readiness level is high, then you need to, 1, move at a good clip, as you could easily be deemed too plodding or indecisive otherwise. 2, communicate your plan and progress early and often. And 3, pressure test assumptions and conclusions publicly. On the last point, you'll want buy-in to run far and deep. On the other hand, if you encounter a situation where change readiness is low, then 1, begin to engage the board, the leaders, staff in educational conferences about what's happening out there in the real world. The goal here is not to alarm or to begin a rumor mill, churning, which could happen, but rather to set the stage and to create appropriate context for possible downstream decisions and announcements. 2, begin strategic planning around longer-term vision issues associated with the organization. And surprisingly, many organizational strategic plans are just too small, too narrowly focused, too operational, too tactical for that sort of thing. 3, begin to explore options for the future. The mere mention of such options, good ones and bad ones, will start everyone thinking in terms of choices that the organization can make for the betterment of that organization, for its mission, for those served, and for its employees. And by engaging in such conversations, you gain more feedback, and that can be helpful as you consider your options. If change is coming in your organization, then you want to embark on that journey from a position of strength with a full backpack and a decent map. Unfortunately, too many organizations head out onto the trail when it's too late and good options are limited. Thanks for listening. Leaving a positive review and letting others know about this podcast will help a great deal. My mission is to help empower organizations that matter by supporting those who lead them. I offer coaching, mentoring, and consulting services. You can learn more about me and my work at raysbedoni.com.